We're now in Unit 9. We're going to be discussing matter. So in Unit 9, we're going to discuss matter, and our big idea for matter is matter has properties that can be observed or seen, described, and measured. Matter can change. Coral reef in Key Largo, Florida. So right here is a coral reef from Key Largo, Florida. Now, if you were looking at this fish down in the corner down there with the circular image, right down here, how would you describe that fish? Go ahead and pause the video really quick and think of all the things that you would use to describe the fish. Okay, now you'd probably say that this fish is a flat, oval-shaped fish. You would also probably say the body of the fish is dark, silvery red, and the fins of the fish are bright blue. So you can notice right here, really bright blue fins on this fish. So I wonder why. The colors of coral and fish can help us learn how to use properties of matter. Why is this so? Turn the page to find out. So let's go ahead and turn the page. It's going to give us the answer for that. Here's why. Color is a physical property of matter. You can use color to sort coral and fish into groups. In this unit, you will explore the big idea, the essential questions, and the investigations on the inquiry chart. Now, we're not going to be doing the inquiry chart because that would be something we need to do with hands-on in class. But we will be looking at all the essential questions. So for Lesson 1, it says, what are some physical properties? Lesson 2, what are the states of matter? In Lesson 3, looks like we're going to look at what physical properties can we observe. Lesson 4, what are some changes to matter? Lesson 5, what changes can be observed? And the STEAM activity, but we won't be getting to that. Okay, and then we'll be doing the Unit 9 review. Okay, turn your page to 351. It's going to be Lesson 1. The essential question, what are some physical properties? Engage your brain. Find the answer to the question in this lesson and record it here. How can you compare these beach umbrellas? So if you're looking at these beach umbrellas over here, what's some ways that I could compare these beach umbrellas? Active reading. Lesson vocabulary. List the terms and make notes in the interactive glossary as you learn more. So when we see the highlighted words, we're going to go back and write them on the lines below. Our skill we're going to be working on throughout the lesson is compare and contrast. Many ideas in this lesson are connected because they explain comparisons and contrasts, how things are alike and different. Active readers stay focused on comparisons and contrasts when they ask themselves, how are things alike? How are they different? It's everything. What is matter? Everything you see on this page is matter. All the stuff around you is matter. Active reading. As you read the next page, draw a line under each main idea. So when we find the main idea while we're reading, make sure you underline it. Okay, here we go. We're going to top right of 353. Matter is anything that takes up space. Your science book takes up space, more space than your pencil does. Did you know that no two things can take up the same space? You describe matter by naming its physical properties. A physical property is a characteristic of matter that you can observe or measure directly. Look in the boxes to learn about some properties of matter. So let's go ahead and pause the video, and we are going to be looking for, there are two main ideas that were listed in these two paragraphs. Okay, let's go over the main ideas. What you should have underlined is the very first sentence of paragraph 1. Matter is anything that takes up space. The second thing you should have been looking at for the main idea is a physical property is a characteristic of matter that you can observe or measure directly. Now notice we had two highlighted words. We had matter and physical property. You're going to want to pause the video, go back and write them on page number 351. So you're going to write those words right down there. Okay, let's go ahead and look up at this caption up top where the boy is talking. It says, "Even we are made of matter." That's true. Okay, and it shows two boys running through a white, frothy wave along the shore of a beach. Okay, let's go over the questions down below. I'm going to read the question. I want you to pause the video each time and then answer the question. Then you can hit play to see what the answer is. Okay, I'm going to start from left to right. I'm going to start down on the left-hand side and work myself over to the right. So down at the very bottom left, it says matter can be different colors. Write a sentence that describes the color of the beach ball. So down here, you're going to want to write a characteristic of the color of the beach ball. Okay, the answer for that one should have been something like this. The ball has 6 colors. Okay, let's go up to the next one. Texture is the way something feels. Objects can be smooth or rough. What is the texture of sand? Go ahead and pause the video and write a sentence for what is the texture of sand. You should have had something like this. Sand has a rough texture. You should have wrote that on the line below. Make sure you're capitalizing your sentences and then you're putting a period at the end. Next one. Hardness describes how easily an object's shape can be changed. Name a hard object you can see. Now make sure you write it in a complete sentence. Name a hard object you can see. Hit pause, write the answer below. Okay, now a hard object that I could see, you might have picked these seashells over here, or you might have picked these plastic things down here, these plastic pails and shovels. You should have had to answer something like this. The plastic shovels and buckets are hard. Next one. Size is how big something is. Which object is the biggest? Which one takes up the most space? Pause the video and write the answer below. Now you should have written something like that, like this. The sea star, this one right here, was the biggest and takes up the most space. Last one. Shape is the form an object has. What words can you use to describe the 2 smallest shells? 2 smallest shells. Now if we're looking in here, our 2 smallest shells would be right in here. Pause the video and write your answer below. You should have had an answer something like this. 1 shell is long and 1 shell is round. Now we're on page 354 and 355. How much mass? Why is it so difficult to lift a bucket full of water? Would it be easier to carry the water in smaller containers instead? Active reading. As you read these 2 pages, find and underline the definition of mass. When we find the definition of mass, we're going to underline it. Then circle the name of the tool we use to measure mass. So when we figure out how they can measure mass, we're going to circle what they use to measure it with. Okay, let's go ahead and start with our reading. Mass is the amount of matter an object has. Mass is also a measure of how hard it is to move an object. The more mass an object has, the harder it is to move an object. How can you measure the mass of sand, water, or other materials in a bucket? Check out the next page. Let's go ahead and look for the definition of mass. Make sure you underline it. It was in one of these 2 paragraphs up above. Pause the video and underline the definition of mass. Now you should have underlined, mass is the amount of matter an object has. Let's go ahead and look at page 355. Now we're still looking for how do they measure mass. So when we see that, we're going to circle that. Measure it. We use a pan balance to measure mass. Oh, did you see what I saw? You should have circled pan balance. Pan balance is the thing they use to measure mass. Let's go ahead and read that again. We use a pan balance to measure mass. The pan balance measures mass in grams. How can you measure the mass of the contents of a bucket? To find the mass, you have to use math. So looking down below, it says find the mass of the container alone. So if you're looking at the container, looks like they have 10 grams on this side and the bucket on this side, and it's right in the middle where it's supposed to be. So how heavy is that bucket? Pause the video and write the answer on the line. Okay, now you should have written 10 grams or 10 G. Okay, 10 grams was the amount of mass for that. Now this one down below, you're going to have to do a little bit more math for. It says find the mass of the container and contents. So there's something inside of that bucket that's causing it to be heavier. They have a 50 gram, 20 gram, 10 gram, and 5 gram on the pan balance. Add those up to figure out how much it weighs. Pause the video, write your answer on the line. Okay, now you should have got 85 grams. 85 grams was the total of adding 50 plus 20 plus 10 plus 5. 85 grams. It says now you subtract to find the mass of the contents. So if this is 85 grams for this container plus contents, and the container weighed 10, you'd go 85 minus 10, and you can figure out the mass of the contents. Go ahead and pause the video and try to figure that out. 85 minus 10. The mass contents weighed 75 grams. Nice job.